Today on Mesa Makes, we're going to quite literally be putting it all together by taking these Lego bricks that we've been working on and assembling them in this variation so we can see how assemblies work in Onshape. Stay tuned. Alrighty, if you take a look, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be making this shape. I have all these bricks 3D printed, and they're not the greatest quality, but we get the idea. So what we're going to do is basically we have a 2x4 brick on the bottom with two 2x4 plates down here. Then we go to a 2x2. Then we have another 2x4 turned 90 degrees, and we'll show you how to do that today. We have two of our slope pieces, our 45-degree angle roof tiles. And then to top it all off, we're going to put a 2x2 brick right on top and cap it all together. So you switch on over to Onshape with me, and you take a look. I've done this as a drawing that I will post in the description as a PDF file, but these are going to be our four views we're going to be looking at. So from the top down, from the front, an isometric view, and a right-handed view. So with all of these combined, you should be able to make this in Onshape. But first, let's look at what I have done. So you'll see we have here what I'm looking at, what I'm talking about. We can orient this thing in a bunch of different ways. But how do we get there? So to start, if you go ahead and click, you follow me down here, and you click this Insert New tab, you will see we get a Create Assembly. Okay, some of you guys might be working in a new document of your own, and it'll already default to having an assembly drawing in there. Just go ahead and, if that's the case, just click in that assembly tab, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so first thing we want to do is jump up here to Insert. So if you click Insert, you will see a menu will pop up, and it'll have a couple of options: current document, other documents, standard content, and you can look by Part Studio or by assembly. So let's say you had some stuff already drawn up in an assembly, you can pull that whole assembly in. Okay, so a couple of things to note is it's going to show all my parts here, but when we bring them in, it only shows it as part 1, part 2. So even though we've named them the document, it doesn't pull from the document name. It has to be named in the individual file. So I can show you guys how to do that another time, or you just go ahead and go change your deal. So first thing, like I said, if we look on here, I'm going to swap back cameras really quick. We're going to start with this bottom 2x4. So I need to bring one of them in, so all I got to do is click, and you'll see it'll populate. Now if I come up here to the check mark, it's going to lock itself in based off of that origin point. But you can see if I zoom out, I am able to actually move this and just place it anywhere in space. For what I want to do today, I'm just going to go ahead and click the right, let it sit in the center, click that green check mark, and let it orient itself off the origin. So it's always going to center itself based off of wherever you drew it originally. Let's say in my original drawing, if I drew it, this point was coincident to the origin, that's what would be set there in that centerpiece. Okay, but what we don't want to have happen is, let's say I accidentally click on this and then move it. Now it's moved out of the way. So I'm going to press Control Z. And what we're going to do is we're going to right click on that part, and you come up here, you'll see we have this option called Fix. I like doing this for everything I do in assemblies. It's my first piece that goes in. Now it doesn't matter what I do, I can't move that thing. You'll see my cursor has turned into like a no sign, a circle with a line through it. It does not let me move it. And when I go to do that, if we look, you'll see it'll show that fixed constraint. Let me zoom in a little more. There we go. It'll show that fixed constraint, which means that it's fixed in place and it won't let me move that. So that's our first brick in. Now we're going to go back up to Insert, and now we're going to insert the rest. Now I could insert all of them as I go, so I know I'm going to need 2 of each block. So I could insert another 2x4, so I'll click it, and you'll see down here my count will go up. Now it says inserted 1. I'm going to need 2 2x4 plates. I'm going to need 2 roof tiles, and I'm going to need 2 2x2 bricks. But you see what happens is it puts them all on top of each other, And you're like, oh, well, I can move them all here. Well, because of the way I clicked those, it stacks them all together. So we don't want to do that. So I'm going to just get out of there, insert again. And for me personally, I like doing it one by one. Obviously, the more parts you get, the harder it's going to be. But so our next step is going to be two 2x4 plates. The way I like to do it is click it and then place it off into space, come back, click another one, place it off into space, kind of where I am going to be placing those. And then the next one after that is going to be a 2x2 brick. So we'll set that one over here. And then after that is a 2x2 roof tile. So we need one there and we need another one on this side. So we'll put it over here. And last is a 2x2 brick. Now I can go ahead and press the green check mark and it's going to accept it. Now this looks good. It looks like they're all on the same plane. They look like they're where they're supposed to be. But if we click this brick and we click the front view cube, you'll see they're all aligned randomly and they're not existing in the same plane. So if this is something that like messes with your head when you get into 3D space, you're like, well, what's supposed to be where? I recommend just doing one at a time. So I'm going to undo those and I'm going to do it one at a time. So again, I'm going to bring in a 2x4 plate and we'll set one there. And we'll bring my other 2x4 plate in and we'll set it here. It's easier to work with, less things at a time, and then we'll set those together. So right now I have 3 bricks that are existing in place, and the only one that has a rule is the fact that this part number 1, this 2x4 brick, is fixed in place. So what we're going to do is if we come up here along the top, you'll see we have a bunch of different mates that we have. Today we're pretty much only going to be focusing on the fastened mate. And basically what that does is it removes all degrees of freedom between two entities. So with Lego, with these bricks especially, if I click these together, they no longer move around, right? All these are together and I can't like rotate them around one another. They exist, they're locked together. And that's one of the things that's like nice about Lego is that they click together and they stay together. Yes, there is Lego pieces that kind of spin around each other and, you know, tires and wheels and all that. But for what we're doing, we're just doing these base Lego bricks today. So if we look back over here, I need this to click here. And there's a variety of ways we can do that. So we're going to start with a fastened mate. And you'll see it says I have my fastened drop down. And so some of you guys that are looking for shortcut keys, the problem is M is the shortcut key for mates, but it brings up this whole deal, and they're all here: slider, cylindrical, revolute, pin slot, planar, ball, fastened, and parallel. For me today, we're just going to do the focus on the fastened and kind of how to get that going. You'll see the next step is it's going to automatically pick this mate connector spot. Okay, so what it's asking us is if I hover over and I get on top of something, everywhere I move my mouse, you'll see this little mate connector. It's a circle with 3 lines. You have a green, a blue, and a red. And what those correspond to is if we come up here to the top, I have my blue for my Z, my red for my X, and if I rotate this around, you'll see my Y is that green color, right? So it's giving me that based off of what's what. So we're saying mate connectors, and you need to pick 2, right? So I want to click any point, so I can go from this face and in here. I could go from this side on the edge, but the way these are, it's kind of an overhang. So some of you might be like, oh, well, why don't I line up these holes? And that would work, but for what we're doing, it's going to kind of be offset a little bit. So this is the way I like to do mates. So if we look at this face, I know this face and this face need to be flush with one another. And I know that this corner needs to line up with this center point right here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So now sometimes, we'll move over to the side, when I'm trying to pick a point, I just need to pick a point and then go. But you'll see I'm trying to get this bottom corner, and as I do it, it starts to rotate. It's like, wait, which side did you want it on? Because that corner, that point is on this face, and is on this face, and is on this bottom face. So it's constantly like rolling around trying to figure out where it wants us. So in order to combat that, what we do is you get to the meatiest part of that face, and you're going to hold down the shift button on your keyboard, and you'll see now it's locked on that face, and now I can select that bottom point right there. So we have it here. It says make connector of part 1, and then in brackets 3. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to do the same thing. And I'll show you. If I were to click here, we'll hold shift and then click. If I were to go here, that's what we would want. And then I could do an offset and I could do some math. Let's say on my x-axis, I want that to move, what would it be? I think it's 15.9 divided by 2. And I can do that accordingly, but we're all about time, and time is money. So I'm going to delete that one by clicking that little X. And now I'm going to come here and select my midpoint, which I know is the middle of that. And now I can say, okay. And we're good. And that one works. And what's cool about the assembly option, and as you're doing mates, it automatically assumes that you want another mate. And so from here, what I'm able to do is I'm able to just jump right into my next one, shift bottom left corner, shift same middle corner, and we can say okay. And it's like, yeah, you want another one? And yes, we do, but I have nothing else to assemble. So I'm gonna have to click that red X. And now for shortcuts, if you want to do insert, it's just the letter I. And now we'll pick our next one. So our next one we're going to do is a 2x2 brick. We'll bring that over here. From there, we'll bring in another 2x4 brick. And that's good enough for what we're doing right now. We'll build ourselves up. So now what I need to do is I need the very center of this to be centered here. So again, we're going to do M for mate. We're going to pull up that fastened mate, and I'm going to come down here underneath now, under this blue 2x2, and I'm going to select. Now, what's nice about circles is you can select the edge, you can select the outer edge. I could select here, and then try to hold that shift button and navigate to the center, but usually I try to just pick a face that is flush and works. Now, what's cool too, let's say I needed this down a little further, and if I pick that wall, you'll see I get the middle and the most upright of that, the uppermost part of that, and the lowermost part of that. So we have that bottom selected. Now I need to go to a specific spot. So I could orient that on here, and you'll see that won't work because that's not how Legos work. It'd be sitting right on top of those studs. But let's move that guy out of the way. I can select that point right here. So I need that to match there. And we'll say, okay, green check mark. And now that one is solved. So it's asking us again up in the top, fastened number 4. What's our next mate going to be? Well, we're going to do the same thing, but instead of selecting this circle, we're going to select the one underneath down here. And I need that to be centered on here. And it looks good. The problem is if we switch back over to our drawing, one is left and one is looking at us and one is offset. So they're perpendicular to one another, right? So we'll see if we look so far, we have drawn this, right? We have our 2 plates, we have our 2x2, we have our 2x4, and now we're going to put our other 2x4 on top. But I don't want it in line like this. I need this to rotate 90 degrees. Well, what's cool is it still has that same center point. Imagine if it was here, or here, or here, or if there was a way that I could rotate it 45 degrees, which I technically can in Onshape, but that wouldn't work in the real world with Legos. So if we look back over, we'll go here to assembly 2. Since I clicked out of it, it's locked in, but what I can do is just like anything in Onshape, if I double click where I gave it those rules, now we can mess with it a little bit. So I'm gonna delete this actually really quick so I can show you what it looks like as you're doing it. So we'll do another insert. We'll insert our 2x4 brick. There we go. We'll set it right there. We'll say okay. Again, M for that mate. We're going to pull from the bottom right here. We're going to come to the center right here. And again, see how those are in line with one another? So we have this toolbar here. I can do flip primary axis and it'll flip that guy upside down, which is not what we want, so we want to bring that back. Sometimes though, when you're picking some things, it's grabbing from the wrong side, depending on which point you pick. Okay, and you'll see that when we get to those slopes a little bit here in a second. But then I also have reorient secondary axis. So if I click that, it'll rotate it 90 degrees. So I can go all the way around, and it doesn't look like much of a change because it's the same view both directions. But we want to make sure, if we look at it from the top, that it's going that way, opposite of that bottom one. We can click over here in an ISO view, and again, we have what we're looking at right here. So one is going straight and one is going left and right. So once we have what we like, we can select the green check mark and commit. And again, it's asking us fasten number 5. So press escape to get rid of that. And our last thing we need to do is add our 2 slopes and our 1 2x2 brick to top it all off. Okay. So again, I for insert, and we will bring up a roof tile over here and a roof tile over here. And while we're at it, let's just bring that 2x2 in and go like so. We'll say okay. And same thing. So now this is where things get a little tricky, because before I had like center points. Well, now we're not going to center anything, and we need to line certain things up. So I could go, I guess, down here to the bottom of this 2x2 and select this point here and make that match up with the center here. But I like going with edges that I can see and make flush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right here and I'm going to click shift, hold down shift on my keyboard. I'm going to select this bottom middle of this front face of here, and then I'm going to come here and select this top middle of this front face here. Now you're like, what the heck's going on? And this is where this little toolbar is going to help. So first off, is it facing the way we want it? Yes, it was. So we don't want to flip that primary axis, but what we want to do is flip that secondary axis, and now it's tied in how we want to. So we'll say okay. And now I can go on to my fasten number 6. So I could go here, and there's a lot of different ways, especially when they match. So I could click this center point and that center point, and we can rotate it and then flip the axis, rotate it, and then we're good to go. But I'm all about trying to find some different ways to show you guys how to do this. So with the least amount of rotation as possible. So if I go back into my mate, I can click this side, and I know that I want this side to match up with this side. And when I do that, the faces align, the sides align, so all I got to do is rotate a couple more times, and then we're good to go. Okay? But again, let's try to find the least amount of ways to rotate. Okay? So, and it looks like we're going to have to rotate probably a bunch of like different times, just because of the way we fixed that bottom one in and the way we drew these originally. But let's try here. So I'm going to pick from this top piece, top middle, and then we'll go here, top middle, and yeah, it's still wanting to orient, so we'll rotate one way and flip. Yeah, so this one's gonna, it's the way we drew it to start. But I've noticed when I do like screws and stuff, if I'm doing big assemblies, it's a lot easier if you can draw them in a certain way. I know I've run into the problem where we couldn't rotate a bar a certain way when we needed to cut, so we were able to do it. We just redrew it, cut it from a different side. So we'll say okay, and now we're good there. So if we come back to the real world, we have this, and we're going to take our 2 roof tile pieces to make a match. So we're almost done with what this will look like. So what I want to show you is if you zoom in, you look up here with me, we have snap mode that lives up here. It's Shift and S on your keyboard. It lets you drag an entity to snap to a mate connector on another entity, specify the mate, type, and orientation. So I can click OK, and we'll select that, and it's not going to change anything like in your instant view. Like it looks exactly the same whether I'm in snap mode or not. The only difference is that box is checked. But once I come down here, you'll see every single thing starts lighting up like a Christmas tree of all the different faces. Let's look down here at the bottom. All these different things I could key in on to mate something to one another. So now we're going to go insert, and we'll bring in that last 2x2 brick that we need. We'll set that right there, and we'll say OK. And now you'll see as I go to bring this in, I can key in on one of these faces. So I'm going to hold here, hold Shift. I'm going to select this center point on the bottom. But as I do that, if I hold that click down, let me zoom out, now I can snap on anything. So I can come here to that center point right there, and we key in, and now I can just rotate, rotate, rotate to where I need. But that axis is flipped, and you're like, what's going on? Well, it's all about when you first click that point. So again, I can drag from here. Since it's oriented the way I kind of want it, I think I'm going to come down here to the bottom and hold, and I'm going to take that piece right there and drag, and then rotate over, and then just plop that right here. It did flip it under, but I can just flip the orientation, rotate it around a couple of times, and say OK. So some of you guys that are really quick with 3D mouse, that might be a better way to do it. I know other programs have a snap mode like that, so if you're coming from a different program, this might be the way to go. But all in all, this is how we get everything together fairly quickly, and it's all together as one. So if I were to go here and I were to shut off that fix, so if I unfix this and now I were to move one block, you'll see the whole thing moves as one piece. So really, really cool way to do assemblies. Nice way for us to close out this part. We end up with some things in real life that you can do, and you can actually show how these would assemble. This is a fairly simple project. I know some people are looking at how to do some bigger things. We've talked about barbecue pits and barrel smokers and a bunch of different things. So this would be really, really cool to kind of lay things out. We're doing a trailer right now with my students, and we've laid everything out and assembled it all together, and we're going to see exactly what kind of welds we need to do and how things are going to fit up, and also like how it's going to look. And then from here you can even do stress tests. It's really cool. We haven't really got into that with my students yet, but there's all kinds of stuff. We jump back over here. You can do relationships, rack and pinion. You can throw forces on them, weight, pressure, acceleration. If you've added the material types and everything that you can do, there's a whole bunch you can do just in assembly. But next week we'll talk about Revolute and why each mate is a little bit different. So just to preview, Revolute allows rotation about the z-axis. The first selection serves as the rotational point, and the second is a stationary point. Or what we've been doing, fastened, it removes all degrees of freedom between two entities. So if we fasten something together, it's fastened, right? Think like if I glue something to something, it's stuck to it. If the bottom thing spins, the top thing spins. So there's no degree of rotation in any of these because there's no degrees of rotation. There's no way for these to maneuver around one another unless we had something pivot around something on the bottom down here, which Lego's notorious for doing. So maybe we'll make another Lego next week, another brick, and I'll show you how to do the Revolute mate. But that's going to pretty much do it for us today. I hope you guys are learning lots. Checking out the merch. I'm over on this side. Checking out the merch. It's really, really comfortable. I got the hoodie. I wore the shirt this weekend, the hoodie and the shirt to the beach. The socks are in. They're pretty cool. I got the flag up in my classroom now. So I'm hoping you guys are showing stuff off. Oh, the shoes came in too. My shoes are really cool. So maybe I'll do a post next week to show you guys kind of what they all look like if you're kind of hesitant to pull the trigger. But these coffee cups are really, really nice. This is one of the smaller ones, the teacher version. I have the other one set out for me for tomorrow morning for coffee. It's a good 22 ounce size, lots of coffee. So that's going to be cool. Again, leave me a link or leave me a comment down below in the description if there's anything you want to see assembled, if I went too fast on something, if you need some clarification, or even if you just want to say hi and tell me that you like what we're doing. That's always a good thing to wake up to on Monday morning. So that's going to do it for us. I will see you guys next week. Take care.